What's up, guys? With all the aero finished on the car, I'm now moving my attention towards some new wheels and tires. Last season, I was using a set of Kosei K5Rs. These are 15 by 8 plus 35 offset. I was also using some Nitto NT01s sized 225/45. Now this combo is excellent. The wheel is very lightweight. It's about a 12-pound wheel. The tires, sticky. I've used them in a 205/50 on a 15 by 7 before. And this 225/45 felt wonderful on my car on this particular wheel. And with my car being at the height it sat, I had no issues with fitting these particular size wheels on the car. These tires are not that bulky. Like some are a little bit more bulgier, and that's because they have a wider contact patch area. Even though it may be a 225/45, some of them are different from tire manufacturers. I had slight rubbing on the rear fenders. On the front, I had no issues at all. It fit perfectly fine. And the wheels I'm going to use this year, no big secret. Tried and true wheel, lightweight. These are the 949s, 6 ULs. These are Gen 4, and this is the charcoal color, which is what I wanted because it looks like a satin black. Now I'm going with a staggered setup. I have a 15 by 9 plus 36, and we're using a 245/40 tire. This is going to be my fronts. And on the rear, very similar to the Kosei with the exception of the offset. It's 15 by 8 plus 36, so it's 1 millimeter in, just a little bit more. I don't think it'll make a difference. Maybe it'll help because tires I'm using are the BFGs. These are the Rival S's. And this rear is 225/45 as well. So if you look, this one just looks bulkier compared to the Nitto NT01. So I may have to raise the car just a hair or pull the camber in just a little bit more so I'm not rubbing. I don't want to rub it too much on the edges of that. And now sort of for the front, this is obviously not going to fit on the stock fender well. It's going to stick out, it might rub, it might catch the fender. So what I want to do, I have been planning on trying to run some sort of fender flare. Now this came in a kit of 4. These bigger ones are intended for the I believe the rear or the front. I don't remember what they had it listed as. Regardless, you get a set of 2 bigger and smaller ones. I think the big ones will look too big on that small car, small 1990 Civic. This one may fit a little bit better. And this is what I meant, guys. I just taped it up here real quick. Now this is the smaller fender flare, and that obviously looks pretty good with the size of the car. I would probably, I don't like it goes down too far and it's too opened. I would probably cut it across the top of the bumper, maybe across the top of the molding. I think that would look a little bit better. And also, I would cut out the additional metal here so that way I'm not going to worry about rubbing the wheels and tires. And some of you guys are probably going to hate that I'm going to cut up these fenders, but it's my fun car, it's my track car, and I think it's great to have a car that I can really screw around with. I have my 91 SI and my 88 CRX. Those are the pretty cars. This car is the fun car. Fenders are replaceable, guys, so don't be mad at me if you're already questioning why I'm going to put some fender flares on the car. I think it'll come out pretty cool once I finish it up. So let me get started on it. I'm going to try to figure out where I want to place it and where I'm going to drill the holes and cut it. After test fitting the wheel on, after I tightened it down, you see this little scratch right here? It actually hit on the knuckle itself once I tightened it all the way. I didn't drive it because otherwise I would have scratched it entirely. I wanted to see. I don't have the spacers in yet. I ordered a set of 3mm and 5mm. I just wanted to make sure I have the correct sizing. But what I did, I just put on some washers here. I don't want to scratch it any longer. I'm going to put the wheel on and I want to show you the fitment with the stock fender. And here they are on the car. From the top, you can see how much farther it sticks out in relation to the fender. Also, from the front, there's a considerable amount, it's probably like a solid inch of room from the tire to the fender. Now I could roll the fenders, but I think it looks I don't really like the way it looks when these are all like bent out and folded out. It looks kind of ugly, and one of the reasons why I wanted to try the flares. I just want to try something different, add a little bit of aero to the front. I took off the splitter, of course, just because I need to jack the car up, and with the splitter on, I can't do so because I can't reach the bar. I could have just went to this side, but I always like to lift it from the front. It just makes it a lot easier for me. What I did there, I just got the holes ready. That way I can kind of decide where I want to start. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill one hole first and then tighten it up and then move to the next. I'll probably start with the top two and then we'll move to the front two. And I think I'm going to add an additional one at the base of each, right above the molding lines on the fenders, right in the front and rear, so that way it holds it down completely. When you saw me grinding right there, these are kind of bubbly, so I grinded them down just a little more flat without going through. There's a lot of plastic here. And I wanted to just sit a little more flush, because that way, like with that little bump there, it was like sticking it up a little bit. See, now it sits a lot more flush. That's why I just grinded that down a hair. So let's determine where we want to place this and start by getting the holes drilled. Now what I'm going to use, I have the old pinstripe line here. I'm going to use that as a reference. That way, when I go to the other side, I can kind of keep them similarly lined up. And at this height, this is now flush with the fender flare itself, which is what I wanted. I didn't want it to go up higher or hang lower. That way, if I'm lowering the car more, it still sits like a stock fender looks. So let me see. Just kind of want to center this. I think maybe right about there. Let's start with this first one. Yeah, I think that looks good. There's really no going back now. Let's leave it right there. I think that's perfect. Well, I got the first two mounted up, and I'm already liking the way it looks. It's cool with this fender washer hardware. I actually pulled it off of like my headlights. I had a handful there because I have a clear, well, not necessarily a clear one. It's called the clear kit, but they're just all silver. I'm gonna swap the silver ones to this car instead, and then use these on the outside. I think the black looks better out here. I didn't want to use the silver washer. And you can see right there, it's about the same height as the fender itself. And then once I squeeze this down and bolt these other ones up, it should be just where I want it. So I'm gonna probably trim off the little ends right now, right at the very end. I guess I'm gonna get it mounted first, then I'll trim those, because I don't want to cut too much. I'd rather cut too little, and then I can always adjust it with either my grinder or my jigsaw. So let me finish up these last couple of holes, guys, and we'll take a look at it when it's finished. And here it is. I got all of the bolts finished up. Now I'm going to mark off the edges, and I'm going to cut those really quickly, and we'll get a final look. I'm going to lower the car so we can see how it fits over the wheels. Here's that remaining piece of fender. It's all cut out now. Just need to bolt up the flare. I will probably put a little drop of Loctite on the inside of each nut. That way I don't gotta worry about them backing out. I doubt they would anyway. Since there's 6 of them, if one did, the other 5 would still be fine. I could just check them after each event. After getting it on, I really like the way it looks, but what I don't like is how this is so abrupt. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my grinder out. I'm going to just grind it down and make it a little more rounded off so the slope is a little more gradual from the top of the flare to the fender. And at the front, I took off my splitter for now. I was thinking of adding some more of that garden edging here. Of course, trimming it to the length of the splitter and having it come up, and I'll just bolt it to the bumper and having it meet with the front of the flare. So essentially it'll come here and then it'll go down and angle out to the size of the splitter, and just create more of an air dam effect covering the wheels, so that way the air hits and shoots off outside the wheel. I've seen a handful of cars do that. I think that'll be an easy mod. I can just kind of get this mounted first and then drop where I want to do it. So I'm going to work on that before finishing off the entire flares. I like to get these put on at the same time, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to utilize the 2 original screw holes, and then I might put a 3rd down here. I won't use a rivet because it makes it easy to get these on and off by just using the screw holes, and then on the bottom I'll probably use a nut and bolt instead, just so it's a little bit better mounted to the bumper. And I like that so much better, the way it looks on the car. It just looks like it flows a little bit better instead of being so jagged at the edge. I'm going to leave the front alone while I work on getting that little air dam piece attached to the bumper, and then I can determine if I need to cut that. I don't think I'm going to, just because of the way it looks like this piece matches up. I think I want it to have a little bit of overhang. Here I got it mounted. These are the original screws. They're a little bit short. I used a couple longer ones that had the same thread pitch because I didn't want to make sure they were secure and tight. And that's an idea of what I wanted to do, is from the front here, where the flare is, I'm going to go down, then I'm going to meet it up with the splitter itself, so I'm just going to make a nice solid line there and see how that looks once I get the splitter mounted. And here's the idea I'm shooting at. Just put some tape here and put the tape there so I can see where I want to cut it and have it lined up with the end of the splitter itself. Let me get that cut and let me see how I can get it mounted. Let's see how it looks, because this is a really simple mod that if I don't want to leave it on there, very easy to remove it. And there's how that little extended flare piece looks. I think I'm going to leave it. I like the way it's mounted. It's very easy to remove. I have just 3 screws. What I'm thinking of doing also on track days, I think I'm going to drill 2 little holes in the bottom of the splitter and this plastic piece. Then I'm just going to put 2 screws in there on those days to leave it in there. That way it's really easy to still remove. Okay, so I got the flares finished. Also finished off a little air dam piece with the side. Now I'm gonna get the wheels mounted. These are the 5mm spacers. I'm gonna try these first. I think this looks like a more appropriate size, and I'd rather be a little bit further out than potentially close to rubbing. So I'm gonna get the wheels mounted really quickly, and we'll get some looks with the flare fitment with the wheels, and also in the rear. I need to check, make sure if they're rubbing a little bit. I may need to adjust camber just a hair. And here's a look at it completely finished up, guys. Oh man, I really dig the way it looks. The wheels, I have no issues with rubbing front or rear. There's obviously plenty of clearance you can see between the flare and the top of the tire, but that's what I was shooting for. Our track isn't super smooth, and I've seen pictures of people's cars where you can see the compression on the front suspension is pretty significant. So that's why I wanted to leave a little bit of room there just to accommodate for that. So that way I'm not tearing up my fenders. And like I said, guys, beginning of the video, Fender's a Fender. I could always buy another set. I actually have another gray set in my garage, but those are rolled. That's why I didn't want to mess with those. And just wanted to try something different. Wanted to give it more of an aggressive look. And I think I've accomplished that. I love the way it looks. And I'm hoping it feels really good. Maybe potentially get me a little bit quicker at the track now. I'll just get you a couple profile shots. You can see that the tires even still stick out farther than the little extension pieces on the air dam, but I think it looks pretty sick. I'm a big fan of the way the car looks now. And compared to last year, it just looks like a completely different car. I'm really excited about that. And you know, honestly, if it doesn't even help me in terms of time, at least it looks pretty badass now. So thanks for watching, guys. Next video, I'm gonna get some footage of the track. Not just me, but hopefully everything that's going on that day with my runs, Chris's runs, and a couple other people. I got a guest coming down from Colorado. Some of you may follow him. He goes by Muffin Racing. He has his own YouTube channel. Gonna hopefully get some footage of his cars also as he's joining us on that track day. Take it easy, guys.